Welcome to the GrowOrtho podcast. Today, we have an episode that comes from our latest all hands meeting. We thought that it would bring value to everyone, so we wanted to share it. The focus of the discussion is feedback being scary and how to overcome those feelings, and really how to grow in your personal and professional lives. We hope you enjoy it and gain some new insight from this episode. Have y'all ever gotten a text or a Slack saying someone needs to talk to you? I know this is something that I hate. My mom does this all the time. Hey, we need to talk. Your senses go on high alert. Your mind jumps to the worst things possible and you start fearing all the negative outcomes. If y'all are feeling that, put a 5 in chat right now, because that is something that I absolutely hate. It's just one of those things that just, it gets the heart pumping, because your mind automatically starts thinking of, is somebody sick? Is something wrong? Did I do something wrong at work? But I think a lot of the same things happen when we deal with feedback. Somewhere along the way, we've gotten feedback from somebody we've either admired or feared, and it has affected us in a negative way. And most people fear getting feedback, and others are afraid of giving it because they don't want to offend somebody. They don't want them to feel little, or they hold it up until they're really angry. So today we're going to be focusing on how we can get past feedback being scary and how we can make it something that is a natural and continuous thing. So let's go to our quote for today. I love this one. I found this one and it just resonated so well. Criticism, like rain, should be gentle enough to nourish a man's growth without destroying his roots. And the reason I like this is, if you think about a really bad storm, we've had several in this area where rain will literally uproot trees. It will get to the soil, it will move things around, and the roots will become damaged, where the trees will fall over, vegetation is washed away. But criticism or feedback should be gentle to nourish a man's growth. And I kind of break down feedback in two different ways. And the first is pruning, and the second is giving hope. Just imagine with me, everybody, if you've ever seen a grapevine, if you've ever, seen anything like that, you know that a grapevine's whole reason of existence is to grow grapes. But the thing with grapes, the vine will keep growing unless you prune it. And all the energy in that piece of vegetation will go to making it as long as possible. And what will happen is all the energy will go to that, and nothing will grow in the side of actual fruit. So there's nothing of substance. It's just a big stick. So we can be doing the same thing. People put the same energy into doing certain things, and they might be growing in the wrong thing. And without feedback, without getting that pruning, they're just continuing to grow in the wrong way. And it's important for us to get that feedback. I know one thing that I personally struggled with starting here was getting feedback in QA. I know Anastasia can feel that. Lucas definitely felt that at times as well. QA was something that I was bad at, okay? It was like, all right, I'm done. Let's move to the next thing. But that pruning has gotten me to where I'm much, much better, and I can still improve on it. But they were being honest with me because they wanted to see me grow. And the other part is giving hope. Feedback doesn't all have to be something that is, hey, you need to fix this, you need to do this, you need to do that. It can be about building somebody up. It can be recognizing them for the good things that they are doing. And this is not just for, leaders doing this or coworkers. It's stuff that we can be doing ourselves. It's things that we can implement to our own workflow. And I think that's really important, because if we're not doing that for ourselves, why are we putting that all on everybody else? So it's important for us to do it for ourselves and for others, because we have to have balance between both of these things, pruning and giving hope. And if you're not doing that, then it just turns into negative self-talk. it will stunt your growth and demotivate y'all. If you've ever felt that, put a 5 in the chat right now, because I know this is something that, when I get feedback, it's like, I'm worthless. I'm bad at this. I don't know why they pay me. I start heaping that onto myself, and then I have to realize I have this track record of doing all these great things. I just made a mistake. I need to fix it, and I can move on. We don't have to be so afraid of getting that feedback, because think about your body. Our body has tons of different senses, but the one that I want to think about today is pain. Pain is telling our bodies when something is wrong. If you've ever stepped on a Lego, your body automatically tells you, hey, there's something on your foot and it's hurting you. But think about people that can't feel pain. They don't know what's going on, and they have to be extremely careful because their bodies don't relay that vital information. Imagine if there is something going wrong with your heart. You would want to know that something's going wrong, but if you don't have those receptors, you're not getting that. And the same is with feedback. If you don't have people being honest with you, it's going to be the same way. Feedback is a natural part of life, but the tendency is to avoid it because it's uncomfortable, because you might get upset. That's something that we've got to get past as individuals and companies, and the people that are giving feedback have to do it in the right way. In high school, I was in band. I thought I was the best thing that ever happened to the trombone. Okay, I was super, super cocky. I was the drum major, and I thought I was the best player ever. I went to All-State. I did solo and ensemble, which is essentially where you prepare a piece and you go play it in front of a judge. Before my senior year, I got superiors, which is the highest rating you can get as solo and ensemble. I was so cocky that I didn't think I had to put in the work. If you've ever been a teenager, which all of us have, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You think you're invincible. You think everything is owed to you, and you're not willing to receive feedback. I didn't want to receive feedback from my band director or anybody else. I was like, I got this. So when I went to solo and ensemble, I had a legendary band director as my judge, Mr. Jim Knight. He is an amazing gentleman. And I'm playing my solo. I didn't practice enough, guys. I'm going to just be honest with y'all. I did not practice enough. I play it and I butcher a very important section. I just ham it up. I get done. Mr. Knight's making notes and everything. And he asked me, he's like, Zach, what are you planning to do after you graduate high school? And I said, well, I plan to go to Troy University and study music education and become a band director. He's like, well, that's awesome. He's like, I also went to Troy. He was also a trombone player, so that didn't help me out. He's like, Zach, you're a good musician. He's like, you're getting a lot of the notes and rhythms, but you're not making music. And guys, if you've ever had a word that is so true, someone giving you feedback that is so true, it stings in the moment. It hits right in the feels. Put a 5 in chat, because Mr. Knight, he rang true with that word. And he didn't have to say anything. I've had other judges write on their little sheet and say, thank you. And then you could leave. But he was like, you're not making music. You're just playing notes and rhythms. And he's like, and that's 80% of it. He's like, you got to start having a conversation with your music. And why I say all of this is I could have taken that. And in the moment, I was really angry because I was, I got called out. I got called out on me not preparing, me not wanting feedback, and I got it. But after that, I had a college audition with Troy University. And if I would have went in exactly like I did for solo and ensemble, I would have bombed horribly. And thankfully, I took that feedback from Mr. Knight. He was so generous with it, and he was willing to give it. And I think that's important for us to understand is the people that give feedback, you have to be kind with it. It's not out of malice. It's never out of malice. I prepared for the next 3 weeks. I went in and had an awesome college audition and was able to get a nice scholarship where I didn't have to worry about college. And I think that's important because the time that it took for Mr. Knight changed my whole path. He pruned me that day. He pruned me, and that's what I needed because I was giving myself hope. I was like, you're great. You're great. But Mr. Knight was willing to prune the thing that didn't need to be there, my ego, my hubris. So I took all of this into my career and as this job as well, because I think a band a lot like a company. Everyone's doing their own thing, and everything coming together gives the whole image. I think of like partner success. Partner success is like the woodwinds. They're hard working and partner facing. Like all of my woodwind players at my bands that I've had, they're on the ball. Okay. Sales team, they're like the percussion. They're the cool kids, in the band world. But that's where the beat comes from and drives us forward with new clients. And as the director, I had to be able to listen to the entire band, but be able to pick out individual parts and individual people and give them quick and deliberate feedback. It wasn't because I knew everything. I had students that could outplay me. That's how good some of these students were, but feedback was out of a place of wanting the entire group to be awesome and the individuals to get better as well. And that's how we are at HIP. We want everybody to be awesome, not just at their professional lives, but their personal. Feedback has never been out of malice. Like we need to approach feedback in a very positive and loving way, because if you're coming at people with malice, they're going to put up walls. They're not going to respect you. They're going to push you away, and anything you tell them, it might be true, but they're not going to receive it. So as I gave feedback to the band, the music improved considerably. And day after day, my band went from sight reading, the first time ever looking at the music. And guys, I'll tell you, sometimes it did not sound like music. Sometimes it sounded like fingernails on a chalkboard and a cat being ran over. It wasn't great. But after a while, after that feedback loop was established and they practiced and they worked on it and we worked on it together, the band that I had was able to start performing college level music. And why I say that is high school bands don't play this kind of music. The music that my bands played was the same kind of music that I played in college, some of the same pieces. I say all of that to say, can we go beyond just the norm at HIP and be what I like to say plus ultra? If so, if y'all are ready for that, put a 5 in chat right now, because what it takes to go beyond is feedback and avoiding tunnel vision. The one challenge that as a musician or as an individual in the company is that a lot of times we get so zoned in to what we're doing comes a solo. And solos are great, guys. Solos are awesome. Jazz got some great solos. But I had this trumpet player one time. He was a hard worker, very hard worker, practiced way more than the rest of the band. But this student thought the first trumpet part was the most important. Was the only thing that people wanted to listen to, and he played so loud that he was not blending with the band. And if you've ever listened to a beginning band, it just sounds like loud and people are sticking out all over the place. This student was just like that. He was not listening to everybody, and I had to start addressing that. I had to start saying, hey, you need to listen. You need to see what's going on around you. And that's the same thing at HIP. We need to see what's going around us. How can we help others? How can we set others up for success? How can onboarding set up the rest of partner success and the practice advisors up for success? But as I was giving the student feedback, I was also giving the band feedback. Hey, man, you need to play this. You need to practice more. And as time went on, everything started to align and everything started to blending. But if I never addressed those things, if I never said, hey, you need to play quieter, you need to do this, that, and the other, neither the students or this one particular student would have rose to the occasion. It's just like us at work. We get in our own world and we're going through ClickUp. Guys, me and ClickUp, we have a love-hate relationship. But we're going through ClickUp and we're knocking out tasks and we don't see the full picture. It's important for us to keep our eyes and our ears open to the full ensemble, the full company, to know how we blend and know how to stay in the group to make something truly wonderful and worthwhile. That's our whole point at HIP, is that we're wanting to make something worthwhile for our partners, and our team here. You're probably asking yourself, so how does this apply to my day-to-day? How can I take this from just a rah-rah, we're at all hands, we're feeling good, we got all of these, we're breaking records each month. How can we take this past the all hands? So these are just a few things that we can do, guys. We can listen and communicate in real time. Don't wait on something. Truly listen and communicate. If you feel something, talk about it. Don't let it just hold up in you. Address things quickly so they don't sit and fester. One of the worst things to do is to keep holding things in and where you become bitter. Bitter is like taking poison. Address things quickly and don't let it sit and fester. And don't be afraid to give and receive guidance, because if we're too afraid to get feedback, we're settling for 90% at best. And I know each and every one of us wants better than just scraping by at an A. We can have 100 guys. We can have more than that. We can get the extra credit because we're going above and beyond. So listen and be aware of what is going on past just what you're tasked to. I want y'all to think about this. How does your part empower others to make HIP the best it can be? I want to leave you with this quote from Elon Musk. He says, I think it's very important to have a feedback loop where you're constantly thinking about what you've done and how you could be doing better. If you enjoyed this video, check this one out on how to improve your new patient calls.